Welcome to Motive Vision, everybody. You guys excited? All right. Nothing like going first, or we might be second. I don't know, but second's best anyway. All right, I'm gonna get it kicked off. Hopefully people will keep coming in. Welcome to the Motive Operations Power User session. Today we have a super fun agenda for you. We're gonna tell you who we are. We're gonna also introduce a fabulous customer that's gonna join us on stage shortly. We are going to take you through a couple demos. We're gonna show, this is all live data, workflows, things that you can do in the Motive platform today. Just by a show of hands, I wanna see how many current customers do we have in the room? Oh, awesome, okay. How many of you currently use what we call the Motive driver app? Awesome, okay, cool. So there may be things that you guys use today. We're gonna have a Q&A at the end after we speak to Carol, our customer. Please feel free to ask questions, share your stories, engage with the audience. Really fun to see a good split of current customers and prospective ones. Okay, by way of introduction, I am Emily Nelson. I am a strategic sales engineering manager here at Motive. Really excited to be here today. With me.
Hey everybody, Andy Czapleski, strategic senior sales engineer with Motive. And then I'm also going to introduce, Carol, put your hands up. We have Carol Smith, Director of Safety and Compliance from Estes Forwarding Worldwide. She's gonna come up and hang out with us a little bit later. We're gonna do a little bit of a roundtable session up here.
Awesome. Okay, last slide and then we're gonna get into the platform. Really the purpose of today is we are gonna spend time in these 4 personas and we're gonna take you through a little bit about how we really work as a unified platform to make sure that we streamline the actions that each of these critical people need to take in your organization. I'm gonna say drivers a lot. I know many of you probably have field service teams or technicians, people that drive to do their day job. So please don't be offended if I say drivers. We're really just focused on the part of their day where they are in their vehicle. I'm gonna take you through that workflow and it's gonna very nicely play over into maintenance. For those of you that are current customers, anyone using our maintenance native platform? Yes, okay, this is awesome. So I'm gonna touch both on our native maintenance platform as well as many of you probably have maintenance providers you worked with for many years. We have massive integrations and the ability to communicate in real time with them. So I'm gonna touch those two and then I will kick it over to Andy.
I'm gonna change the topic a little bit. I'll be talking mainly to the fleet managers in the room, the folks that are in the trenches day to day with their vehicles, with their drivers, operators. And then I'm gonna take it a level up and talk to more of those operational leaders, the folks that maybe aren't necessarily living in the platform day to day, but still need actionable data to do their jobs.
Awesome, okay. We ready to get started? Okay, let's do it. First session, gotta get those jitters out. Okay. I'm gonna take you to what looks like, this is an iPad, so it's a little bit of a different screen. Our mobile driver app has actually been around for a really long time. It started as a free ELD for all of you that went through that conversion, that potentially fairly painful process of making sure that you had electronic logs. We had a free app. This app is still actively used by almost 500,000 people consistently. So it is a fantastic way for your field team, your drivers to engage. What you're looking at here is fully customizable. So I always like to say that. I'm gonna show you a lot of things, but just know most of our customers, and anyone can speak up if they have an opinion on this as a current customer. Sometimes you just have it really simple. If there's 1 or 2 things that your driver needs to be doing on an ongoing basis, just put those 2 things in the driver app. We know that it is critically important that they do their day job, that they get a load delivered, or that they complete something that they need to do for your organization. Being in an app and completing tasks is not something we want to be a large effort. So just know any of these things can be the order at which, how they're presented, what you do with them can all be customized. First thing I'm gonna do in here is documents. How many of you have a really challenging time managing documents? Anybody? Painful process, paper gets lost, they don't get turned in, you have to go back and course correct, right? Motive provides the ability for you to digitize a lot of your documents. Really smooths out that process. So I'm just kind of doing a very simple Let me put my name in here. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to add an image. I'm doing a accident. Got into a little fender bender yesterday. As you can see, my window got blown out, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that in there. I'm going to save that. That's going to go directly to my manager. That was just one very, very quick example of how I can go in, say, hey, something happened. It's not critical. I can continue with my work, but my manager needs to know that. That automated workflow lets that manager know directly, and I'll go ahead and show you where that comes up as well. So going back home, we know that there's a lot of different things that need to happen. We have dispatch integrations. We have safety scores for those of you using us for safety, hours of service and compliance, reviewing logs, editing them, accepting them, et cetera. We know that there's a lot of things that need to happen. And so I'd say in the last 6 months, we really have perfected what's called the driver walkthrough. That's this little button at the top. You can actually set when this gets sent to your drivers. Beginning of day, end of day. For those of you that use it, how many of you do inspections at the beginning of the day, require your drivers? Awesome. So that can be natively put in here. I'm going to go ahead and connect to my vehicle, and it's going to take me right into that inspection. So first thing I'm going to do, connect to my vehicle. That makes sure that you know who is driving that vehicle. There's a bunch of different ways we can do it as well, but this one is really easy. I'm going to go ahead and just go through. These are all, again, customizable. I'm going to go ahead and say I have a little defect. We have a loose tire. I know I'm making this up, but it's just for fun. I got to go to my other image. Any tree service companies in here? Yeah! Let's hear it. Okay. My kid's going to kill me if I don't take that back, so I'll make sure I don't lose it. But this is my inspection. I've basically sent that I have a tire problem. That's taken directly back to my maintenance platform that I'm going to take you into next. The last thing I have on my walkthrough, again, I customized this and built it so it will look different for each of your organizations, is my safety tasks. One of the things that we've really seen is as you roll out a safety program, it is imperative to create trust and transparency with your drivers and your fleet. Is that right? It's hard to come and say, hey, we see that you're having a lot of events when they don't necessarily have the visibility to see it as well. And so one of the things we allow you to do is to actually review their own events generated. Again, you can choose what to send to them. They can just be coachable behaviors. But the benefit of this is you're not coming into a coaching session and those drivers aren't feeling blindsided, right? They're not saying, I didn't run that stop sign, or I wasn't on my cell phone. Actually, it's much of the inverse. We hear a lot of drivers say, wow, I didn't know I looked at my phone that much, right? So it's a great way to create that trust and transparency and make sure that they are seeing what you guys are seeing as operators, as managers of your fleet, and that there's nothing left to chance, if you will. That was it. How painful was that? Not super painful. My eyes kind of hurt, but. So again, the idea here is easy, streamlined walkthrough, fully customizable by your organization, required every day, if that's the setting that you have, to make sure that the things that your drivers need to complete on a regular basis actually gets done. I had a fantastic customer that actually implemented this for signing logs, editing, signing, making sure their hours of service were up to date, and they reduced their violations by over 90%. Which was incredible. They were like, there's no way we thought that this would be the outcome. So there is huge efficiencies that can be gained from this. All right. Heading into the platform. Does this look familiar to a lot of you? Hopefully. Okay. This is the Motive platform. I'm going to give you just a really brief orientation because I always hate going into the platforms and saying, hey, look at this little button, and you don't know what you're looking at. So it always brings you into the fleet view. This is the view of currently live, where your vehicles are, where they're traveling, if they're idling, if they're on, off, et cetera. You're going to hear a lot over the course of the next few days, unified platform, and that is true. That is really what Motive brings to the forefront. We have safety, compliance, we can even do card management, fuel, et cetera. So you're going to see a lot of different capabilities on the left-hand side here. The one I'm going to close out on is maintenance. For those of you using our native maintenance, yay, this is awesome. Really easy, intuitive way to pre-schedule different reports or different upcoming maintenance services, whether you do it from miles, days, engine hours. You can do these for your assets, for your vehicles. Really a lot of flexibility in how you build this. Baked into this are automated notifications. So before your vehicles come and lapse that time, you're going to get notified that they may need to be taken out of service, right? That vehicle then gets flagged as out of service. It's not going to go into your dispatch workflow, right? You're going to be able to organize that really easily. One of the things that you're going to be taken into when you first come in here is inspections. And so as you can see how quick that was, here is my tree service, right? This is what I just took a picture of. I can click on it and I can resolve it, or I can obviously add it to my maintenance backlog. Just know that if you do have a maintenance provider today, we handle all the automation to get this information to them immediately. So for instance, we can even, based on what your specifications are and how you've set up the platform, we can actually auto-generate work orders. So there's a lot of extended workflows and ease of use that's really going to make sure you're streamlined. Last thing I'll show here is what we call the history. I think it's really important, we hear this from a lot of our customers, really important to understand what's happening with a vehicle at any given time. How do I know when to take it out of service, potentially decommission? I know you guys all have plans for how many vehicles you bring in to your fleet, how many you dispose out of your fleet. This is a great way to make sure that all the information, previous service visits, things that have happened on that vehicle are housed in a single location. And for some of those integrations, we even pull those service technician notes. So that tech that is working on your vehicles and putting notes in here, that's going to show up right here. So we want to make sure that you have full transparency into how your vehicles are performing, what their health is, keep on top of your maintenance as well. And for me, that was just one or two different profiles. We know that there's a lot of you in here that manage the fleet holistically. So I'm going to pass it to my man Andy here, and he is going to take you into the fleet view.
Thank you, Emily. Let's give Emily a quick round of applause. Yeah. Emily also got promoted last week, so let's give her another round of applause.
Thank you.
All right. So, like I said earlier, my name's Andy Chapleski, Senior Solutions Engineer. And what we're going to spend the next 15 minutes or so running through are just a couple of scenarios that you all probably have found yourself in at some point, or you maybe you're going to find yourself in at some point around what happens in the real world, right? I know, working with fleet managers, that you all are spitting plates, herding cats, juggling chainsaws with your feet at the same time. You all have all the time in the world to take on extra things. Carol, right? I mean, just tons of time, right? Okay. So we're going to run through a couple of quick scenarios. Scenario one is going to be, someone calls in and says, on April 1st, around lunchtime, I was passing that exit by the Fairmont Austin Hotel, and one of your trucks blew by me with your logo on the side going about 95 miles per hour. Okay, well, let's see if that did in fact happen, right? So we have this history tile right here. For the users in the room, you may know this. For those that are new to the platform, we have the ability to take an address and search if there was any activity around that. And in this example, we are going to type in 101 Red River Street, Austin, Texas. It automatically pops up. And I know that I-35 is about a quarter mile away from this hotel, and the person who called in said April 1st. And they said around lunchtime. Lunchtime's pretty ambiguous, right? So let's just go from 10:30 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. and see what pops up. And lo and behold, we did have some activity. We did have somebody drive from my fleet past the hotel. And if I zoom in, you can see that nice rooftop pool and bar lounge area. We're going to zoom back out. So we can see that someone did in fact pass by the hotel. We can see that they did pass by the hotel at 11:11 a.m., but I don't really have any other information. So I'm going to go one layer deeper. I'm going to hop into this particular vehicle on that particular day, and we're going to see what that vehicle history was. So if I scroll down a little bit, we're going to find that lunchtime route. Looks like there was a 16-minute trip right here that was initiated at 11:02 a.m. We're going to open that up, and I don't see anything weird. No speeding alerts, nothing odd. For those users in the platform, not sure if you know that this exists, but if you come down here to the lower right-hand side, we can actually toggle a speed and RPM thread. So I can see that this particular driver, around the time that they passed this hotel, was going anywhere from 60, looks like they hit 72 miles per hour, but nothing near 95 miles per hour. So I would be confident knowing that my driver was doing his job. Someone was just calling in with a bogus complaint, right? Let's take a look at another one. Let's say you don't have an address. Let's say you get someone that calls in and says, hey, man, I've been meaning to call you guys about this for about a month. On March 23rd, one of your vehicles blew through a stop sign, almost rear-ended someone. And I remember seeing your logo on the side of the truck, and then on the back it said truck number 2016. Your drivers should probably try to do a better job, right? Well, maybe. So let's go back to Fleet View, and let's search for that one truck in question. And then let's go into the History tab. The History tab is where you're going to have that breadcrumb trail. You're going to have any events that are coming from the camera. And that's why it's so important to have an all-in-one system when you're blending together telematics with camera. Because when you're blending those together and it's coming from the same system, you're getting accurate information and you're able to parse together a story from camera views as well as what the telematics are telling you. So the person was pretty close, right? March 23rd, there was some sort of an event. It looks like it was a stop sign violation. So I know one piece of information that can help me have a conversation with the driver. I can prove that they were there at that time that they did run through a stop sign. But we can take it a step further, again, with that integrated all-in-one platform. If I come over to the map, I can see the stop sign violation event, and if I click into it, the system is automatically going to open that stop sign violation, and we can see that the driver did in fact run that stop sign, but there was no one in front of that driver that they were going to hit. Still have the conversation because of that stop sign, right? But no one's property was at damage, no one's personal medical was at damage. Now, for those more operational leaders in the room, the folks that need actionable data, but you're not living in the trenches, talking to drivers every day, managing the vehicles every day. How do you get the information that you need? Motive actually has a buffet of reports, a reporting suite. We also have an alerting suite. All of that can be automated and sent to you. So if you're an operational leader and you want information where you're not logging into the system every day, that's how you would get it. Those alerts are going to come to you via email, text, email or text. And then when we talk about, excuse me. Okay, we're gonna move on. So when we talk about geofences, let's use geofences as our source of truth for getting our alerts and getting our reports. So for those in the room that don't know how to draw geofences, very simple. We go into this upper right-hand corner, we click on Create Geofence. And we're going to use the hotel again as the example. So instead of typing in the address this time, I'm just going to type in the Fairmont, Austin. And it's going to start to pop up. So for newer users to the platform, it's a very Google-esque feeling search query. You can enter site names, driver names, vehicle names, IDs, so on and so forth. If we zoom in on the hotel, when we're talking about geofence creation, we can do polygon geofences, we can do circular geofences, or we can actually just draw a geofence. And let's say that in this case, the use case is that my drivers did find out that there's a pool, a rooftop pool with a bar, and I want to make this a restricted location. I don't want anybody coming to this location anymore. What I'm simply going to do is draw a geofence around every entry point to this hotel. I'm just going to click and drag. Going to put a couple more of these icons around. And then what the system will do is reorient itself into showing that geofence. When we create that geofence, we'll just say Austin Pool. And this would be a restricted location. It's important to note, though, for our trucking customers in the room, If you were to set this as a terminal or a yard, you do have the ability to leverage our system to automatically annotate unidentified driving events that are in a yard move status. So that helps clean up some time for your admin folks. Let's go back in and we'll make this a restricted location. And the upper right-hand corner, if I was creating that geofence, I would click Save, but I want to add an alert. And like I said, I know some of my drivers are coming here. Maybe it's one driver, maybe it's a handful of drivers, an entire team of drivers, whatever the case may be. The system is going to allow me to select that group all the way down to the individual driver. We're just going to select 2 drivers and move on. And then we're going to select that geofence, and we called this one Austin Pool as a restricted location. Now down here, I can digest this information in a number of ways. I can put in my phone number and get a text alert anytime that geofence is breached. I can get an email anytime that geofence is breached. I can get that in real time. If I want to set an alert where I'm getting a summary notification, we could do that as well. So you could get an email the next day of all of the drivers that came to the Fairmont Austin to hit the pool. All right? So it's just one way to get that proactive information where you're not researching something, but you need information that you may not know how to find in another way. Lastly, when we talk about reporting, like I mentioned earlier, we do have a full reporting suite. So if we go into a geofence report, geofence summary report, I get a lot of rich data around when drivers are coming and going from certain geofences. But again, if I'm not living in this portal, I want to digest this information, so we can schedule this. We can schedule this in any time frame that you're looking for. We can add any number of recipients to this scheduled report, and maybe I want this report every Monday morning when I get into the office, and I want to just take a look at this report and drink a cup of coffee. We set it, forget it. This report is going to kick itself out in a CSV or a PDF format every single time. All right? Lastly, just a shameless plug for something that's going to be announced tomorrow. So for our fleet users, we're going to have an AI assistant for fleet management. The first iteration of AI assistant is going to cover weather and diagnostic trouble code alerts, and then it's going to grow from there where our fleet users will be able to find any amount of information that they need. Okay, that's it for me. We're going to bring up Carol Smith now. Ready?
Yeah. Hi, Carol.
We're on.
Okay, so we invited Carol as a real-world user to come and speak to you all. We have some canned questions we're going to ask her, but we're also going to see where this conversation goes. So let's start off with, what was your experience before Motive, and what brought you to Motive?
My experience with Motive, or before Motive, we used another system that was not at all stable. So we had 2 people basically working full-time managing that system because of all the driver issues. We had a really big issue with driver violations, incomplete logs, the whole 9 yards. It was an ugly mess. So finding Motive was kind of like a miracle thing for us.
Cool.
How was the implementation? Like change management, transition, how did you help
In all honesty, our implementation was phenomenal. I have been through implementations previously, so I had been through 3 different ELD provider implementations at other companies before I came to EFW. And we had a big challenge when we brought on Motive, actually. And I got the biggest testimony to this is how easy it is to use the system is that we did our implementation completely remote. So I was not allowed to travel to go to the facilities, so we have trucking all across the country, and we trained individuals on the installation. We had support from Motive personnel to do this training, and then I created user videos for our drivers, and we went through literally just doing it right alongside them using technology that let us log right into their tablet. So it was very smooth. We implemented in less than 30 days the entire country.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
And how many units was that?
It was 150 units at that
150.
time.
And we were talking earlier, maybe you want to share with the group about the system does more for you where you need less people in the office.
Oh, yeah. So we're down to 2 people. And the other individual who's on my team right now, he used about a quarter of his day is spent managing Motive, going through all of the reports that we do. I mean, we don't have a lot of them, but I have a number of automatically generated reports that come in. He manages all of the driver safety events that comes in. He does all the driver coaching based off of the reports. I mean, it's been night and day from the beginning to where we are presently, because he doesn't have to manage that much right now, which is a blessing.
Yeah. What are some of the other successes you've gained? We talked a bit about that.
Oh, we've had
I know.
so many. It's not even. I mean,
Right.
where do you start? Is my point. Using the technology that you just showed in the back office with the geofencing, we've had a lot of inspections. We came in, as a new entrant, new DOT number, and they were looking at us. So I wanted to control that, and the way I did that was set up geofences on all of the weigh stations in the regions that we operated in. I now know every time a truck enters a weigh station, I can go to that alert. I can see what the time spent there is. I can see if they're at the weigh station behind it or if they just drove through. It's huge. Catching drivers doing things that they weren't supposed to do. So you had that where you just showed that about the pool. I have that set up too, where I found out we had hourly paid drivers who were taking breaks whenever they wanted to at a local restaurant. That geofence has saved us so much time. It's incredible. There's so many positives where do we go?
You mentioned your accident management as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the accident management is incredible. So just controlling the type of accidents that you have. We originally started at very high accident rates, very unusually high accident rates. And when I came on board, I was able to start managing that just through coaching in general and getting to know the fleet and reducing those accidents. In 2024, we had 5 accidents. 1 was at fault. The other ones, the 3 big ones that we had, the video exonerated us on site. So law enforcement let us go without any inspections, without any issues. And they were given that video so that they could
Nice.
prosecute the other people.
Yeah.
Could you talk to, when people change systems, it's scary. Can you walk through change management, specifically as it relates to getting your drivers on board?
Well, that was an adventure.
Usually is.
The first month was rough. We got a lot of calls from the drivers. The biggest change for them moving from the previous item we used to Motive was that they were not used to seeing what their driving skills were. And that they got really mad. A number of them got very upset. And we had to have some really hard conversations and show them what they were doing and how they could improve that. So 2.5 years down the road now, we don't have those issues, and they're fighting for top driver position. So the entire bell curve of the bad drivers has shifted from the lower scores all the way up to the higher scores. Our current safety score totals between 95 and 96. Right now we're at 95 because it's nice in Minnesota. We're based in Minnesota, and they're starting to speed a little more with the nice weather.
Sure. Are you finding gamification? Are they competing with each other? Are
They are
trash talking each
competing.
other?
Oh, they do.
Okay.
They'll come in and they'll say, hey, look at where I am today. I actually got a call from my driver in Missouri. He was finally the #1 driver in the fleet, and he could see that on his driver app. He was so excited. And I don't necessarily see that data. My team member, Paul, sees that. And I didn't have a chance to reach out to him. I didn't know it at the time when he found it was Monday morning, and he called me bright and early. So yeah, it's huge. And we do celebrate our drivers. We celebrate our drivers in the Hundreds Club. They get a recognition every month.
Awesome.
Because when you look at their scores, they're zeros. When you look at the fine details, they are not making any errors in their driving. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Good.
Yeah.
Should we open it up?
Sure.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to ask Carol a question, or Andy, or myself? Any thoughts? Yeah.
I actually have 3 questions, and I work for a different sort of trucking company, not traditional. But the 3 questions that I have is, number 1 is the videos that you guys retain for whatever, driver coaching, driver celebration, whatever. How long is that data available within your library, and how long is it available for us to actually pull and look at? That's the first one.
Yep.
The second one is going back to driver safety. I mean, I can ask you these separately if you want.
Yeah, should we answer the first one
Yeah, go
first?
ahead.
Yeah. So the first part of your first question, you determine. So how long you retain videos is fully customizable in the platform. It can be forever. We realize legally that's not always the choice. So you can go as low, 2 days, I think it was. That's as low as you can do for video purging.
Okay, so can you access, like, okay, I got a guy from a year and a half ago, or a particular unit from a year and a half ago, and I want to see what happened a year and a half ago. Can I do that?
Probably not.
So the onboard access to the video storage, it's about 8 days. But once a video is cut and clipped, that lives in your system in perpetuity.
Okay, so as long as you've downloaded it, but you
Correct.
can't go back and
Oh,
research
yeah.
something different after,
Depend-
on the 9th day,
depending on your
you're
data
out of luck.
retention settings, if you had them to indefinitely, which actually many of our customers do, you could access as far back as you've been a client of ours.
But only the videos that you've actually already saved.
Correct.
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 Yeah.
Okay, so the second question is related to driver safety. Our particular issue is following distance. Smith system, or however anybody teaches their
Yep.
defensive driving,
Yep.
is 6 seconds on average, okay, depending on the vehicle, 6 to 8 seconds at speed. So I work for an ADS company, an autonomous driver, but we've shortened it to 4 for a reason. But so can you adjust that within your system so that you don't get following distance alerts at 5.5 seconds?
Yes.
Yep.
So,
Okay, so you can do that.
so it's not necessarily Smith system based, but the way that we think about close following is distance to hit the moving object in front of us,
Right.
time to hit that distance in front of us, and then how fast we're going to hit that object in front of us. To take it a step further, we can break down those settings by light duty class, medium duty class, and heavy duty class.
Sure.
So you can create custom settings for any class that you want, and you can make it. If you're field services driving an F-150, you're going to be okay with your people getting a little bit closer. But if you're driving, Class 8 tractor trailer, tanker, you're going to want that distance. So we give you the ability to change those settings. We also give you the ability to do it yourself. You don't have to call support, call your customer success manager. You can do it all on your
It's
own.
very user-friendly.
Oh, okay, I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so-
just figured I'd bring it up. It's always nice to see when we're talking about it. So this is just an example of the ability to customize all those thresholds directly in the platform, and it takes immediate action. So there's no waiting, there's no
No
time
logging
frame,
out,
no
logging
dependency
in.
on us as well.
Okay, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the final one is with talking about drivers allowed access to the app. You talked about showing, okay, here's your video, how many times you use your cell phone. But do you also support driver self-coaching? Like for simple things like,
They
hey,
get-
you forgot to sign your logs for like the 80th time.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah,
That's it.
that pops up. They get alerts in the actual log if they haven't signed a log or if they've missed. There's a nice little bullseye that gives them a clue where to look. If there's a bullseye, they didn't finish something.
Yep.
Okay, well, yeah,
So-
the log is an easy one to pick up, but say for following distance, let's just say.
Yeah.
Normally your driver's excellent, but they happen to have a bad day. Then that self-coaching option comes up because you know the driver's going to be, if you know your drivers at some point, you're going to know that they're going to,
Correct.
they're going to honestly
Yep,
answer
we
questions.
do, and you're going to see a lot of that tomorrow. We're going to talk about where we're taking coaching, not to punt it, but a lot of ways that you can basically, hey, if you have categories of drivers that are really good, maybe they have 1 or 2 incidents, you put them into a self-coaching where you deliver information, whether it be from your learning management system or from Motive, and then they can self-coach. That then comes back into the platform as a coached feature. So a lot of different things that we're doing, all the way down to some really cool new AI coaching methodologies as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming up. Anybody else? Yeah, come on up.
Okay, so I'm a relatively new user to the Motive app. Most of it's self-taught. I've not really had in-depth training on it. The search features, I really struggle with the search functions in Motive. Show me how I would find a specific vehicle by a license plate. I cannot find that anywhere in Motive where I can search, or a couple of snippets of the VIN, or I don't always have the unit number. Sometimes I need to search for something to find the unit number. So how could we, can you show me some search functionality within the platform?
Yeah. Andy's our search guru, if you didn't know that already. So
Yeah, I use the back office. I've had that too, where I've had somebody call in with a license plate, hey, can you find this? And then there's a complaint, and
yeah,
I go into the administrative part and can search that in the trucks.
yeah.
So when you're specifically searching, give me an example of something that you would be
We
searching.
use the, hey, driver,
Yep.
unit 216 blew by me at 90 miles an hour.
Yep.
We don't really have unit numbers visible on our equipment. License plates, they can always give me a license plate,
Okay.
okay? And I haven't found how I can search in Motive for just that license plate.
And you are putting the license plate numbers into Motive.
Yes,
Okay.
and the VIN. I mean, as far as I know, when you set up a vehicle, we follow all the standards, puts the VIN, the year, the plate,
Yep.
the registration state.
Yep.
I mean, we
Yep.
fill all that out when we put the vehicle in.
Yep. No. Okay. Let me get with you after, because it should be finding your license plates and it should be finding your VINs. So we need to figure out why it's not, but it should be. Because the way that search box works is anything that we're putting into the tool, whether it is person-specific, vehicle-specific, location-specific, so on and so forth, you should be able to find it in your search box. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the class you alluded to tomorrow about coaching, what's the name of that?
It's actually mostly going to be in the keynote. Yeah, so the keynote will have it. There might be a specific coaching. I don't know if we have a breakout session. I should know this.
Yeah.
Julie? Okay, yes, we do. So we'll have a specific, that's with Nihar here tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, there's going to be a session like.
Yes.
We have expert user sessions coming up, not just for productivity, but also for profitability and for safety, where we'll be deep diving on features. And then we have a dedicated coaching session as well tomorrow.
Yeah, so come to that one for
But
sure.
there'll be some great content in the keynote for you as well.
Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Mike Malika with Telematics and Video Service. Carol,
Yes.
Carol happens to be, and I didn't realize she was going to be here, one of our participants in the VTTI detention study.
Yes, I am. We are.
And so FMCSA awarded VTTI a study to determine detention details from motor carriers, real detention details. And so we built a query and data download for Motive users only. So we're only doing this with Motive. And we're looking for fleets. Carol, graciously,
Yes.
at the leading and bleeding edge of everything, is one of our first participants. And so we're looking for fleets to help us. Everybody complains about detention, and we're gathering data that will be anonymized and given to FMCSA so they can maybe do something about the detention that bothers everybody.
The hours of
And so-
service, yeah.
So we're right around the corner. We're looking for fleets. It's seamless. It's very, very little activity that we do with the drivers. And so we need more fleets. Motive is the great demographic for what we need fleets from. And so please, if you're at all interested in giving back to the industry a little bit, please sign up for this. We need the trucks. Okay?
Awesome.
Thank you.
And I can attest on the driver's side, it's a simple button you push and answer. It's fractions of a second to respond. So getting all my guys to participate is another story, but we are, most of them are. I have
Even
a
a
number,
button.
yeah, because we're operating in the port systems and whatnot. And a funny story behind that is that a year and a half ago when I was at a Minnesota Trucking Association conference, the administrator came to our conference and spoke, and that was one of the biggest questions I had is the detention and the delay times at all of the ports. It takes hours to get through a port if you're not aware of that. So, and she told me about that study, and then to come around full circle and have the opportunity to participate, we had to say yes.
Carol's been on it for about 3 or 4 months, I think, something like that.
I think, yeah, maybe a little closer to, no,
Yeah,
you're
might
right,
be.
about four to
About
6
4
months.
Yeah, and we've got about close to 200 trucks in it, and we've already got 19,000 stops that we have detailed detention study data from. So, like I said, we can take up to 2,500 trucks. We're looking for fleets. Please help us and the industry.
The FMCSA
We
needs the
really need
data.
that detailed
Yeah.
information so that we might get some help from Federal Motor Carrier to do something about this. All right?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
Absolutely.
Right, we have about 5 minutes left. Any other questions? Yes.
There is. Just come and stand up at the mic.
Question
Oh.
for Carol.
Yes,
You described drivers fighting for top place.
yes.
That's kind of the culture I would love to see with our drivers. Could you just describe some of the things you're implementing to create that?
It's about a lot of caring and communication, honestly. The communications, we send out a daily safety message, and that safety message is always a positive message, something just to trigger a reminder of something important, like on Friday. So I have my team member, Paul Ballinger, doing that, and Paul sent out a happy Easter and, sending everybody good wishes and, again, a positive thanks for everything that you do. Other days it's going to be, remember, air your tires. We've got road check coming up. Just simple little reminders, something positive. So we engage them through that, personal conversations, and then the coaching. And the coaching, have you all heard the sandwich method? We use the sandwich method when we coach.
Mm-hmm.
Something very positive that they've done, a direct message about what we need them to change, and then you're really important and you're really part of this team. So having that interaction and having that communication has been the key to our success.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think too, something even as simple as the visualization of where you stand when you create that type of culture.
Yeah.
Seeing I'm fifth,
Yeah. Oh, that number
Yes.
one, that is coveted.
yeah.
Nobody calls when they're number two, but boy, when they're number one, that is huge.
Yeah. And Carol, you kind of
Yes.
you kind of said it in your earlier statement, but I think it's worth calling out. Like you reward them.
We do.
For getting 100. And so as an organization, you have a culture of this is
The positivity.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen fleets do, to your point, do a March Madness bracket with your drivers and buy a $5 plastic trophy and then take them all out for a catered lunch. And you would be surprised the level of intra-team knife fighting you would see for that one thing.
So this month's gift is a new tool I discovered that it's a little wedge to put in the 7-way to make sure that your 7-way is firm and you don't have flashing lights when you're rolling down the road. That's what they're going to get this month.
Cool.
So, little trinkets. It doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be expensive, but the positive reinforcement is absolutely the key.
Go ahead.
Hi, Tyrell Tompkins, Standard Heating, Cooling, and Insulating. We're new with Motive, so I'm just curious. In our line of work, we have a lot of ancillary equipment on our trucks, generators, insulation machines, things of that nature. Is there anything currently existing as far as maintenance tracking or in the works for tracking hourly usage for generators and things of that nature?
Interesting.
Are you talking more automated tracking? Are you talking more custom e-form inspection tracking?
Yeah, so just in the same manner as that we would track mileage used by the vehicle, could we track the hours used by a generator or by a machine that's attached to the vehicle, whether PTO driven or not?
It would have to be PTO driven in order for us to do that right now.
Okay.
Because we can capture utilization figures, key on, key off, even for assets we can capture that. But when we're talking about something that is not specifically tied into a PTO, just a standing piece of equipment, that would be challenging for us right now.
Can you use your forms, though? Can you?
I was going to say, you could do driver input, which is not
Yes.
always reliable, but is a source that can
Like
be
the
part of a form. Mhm.
Okay, part of the pre-trip.
Correct.
Because you can customize in that whole section, in the document section, you can customize anything you want in there. I've done that. That's where we get maintenance reports from our independent contractors. So you could set up where it's very simple, where they log in and it's the generator time in, time out. It's simple.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
And one other thing about documents, sorry, just to help you out a little bit more. Let me swipe this way. So if you're in a mobile application like this, upper left-hand corner, if you go into documents, the way that Motive thinks about documents is really 3 different ways. So
It's not progressing, but
we're right there, we're okay.
okay.
So if you were to click into documents, we think about it 3 different ways. Documents that you can push to a driver where they can interact with it, they can create it, take pictures, signatures, send it back to the office, so you're capturing data. And you can also push documents that are static. So if they need certain permits, certifications, whatever the case may be, and instead of handing them a piece of paper and trusting that they're not going to lose it, you can send it to that documents folder and it's going to live in there. So they can't interact with it per se, they can't add a picture, get a signature, but they still have it with them on their tablet.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for the
I'm
time,
gonna take
everybody.
Yes, I'm going to take us back. Let's see if I can get back to the presentation. Okay. A few actions you can take today. So these are the key takeaways. You can also scan to learn more. Julie, our amazing product marketing manager, is releasing a blog, so you can get more information on everything that you've seen here today. So if you guys want to take a screenshot of that. Also, come and find us. We're going to be here all week, so we'll be around the demo booth. If you guys have any questions, want to dig into any of your systems or questions you might have, come and find us. And last but not least, I think it's time for Coach Sark. Is that right? So 7th floor. No, we're on the 7th floor. Go to the 5th floor. Sorry, I don't know where I am. So head on over there. There's going to be a fantastic speech and fireside chat with him, and then we will have a welcome reception. Thank you.